Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture, and coming up today we're going to tell you all about the SmackDown superstar that WWE has supposedly forgotten about. And on top of that, we've got a backstage update on Seth Rollins' WWE status after Survivor Series.
Plus I'm going to tell you about the future plans for Drew McIntyre and a new character debuted on the Firefly Funhouse last night. This is the news.
Let's kick things off by talking about Aleister Black. If you've been wondering where the hell the guy is lately, why he hasn't wrestled since the middle of October, why he's hasn't shown his face at all, in fact, since moving from Raw to SmackDown as part of the 2020 draft, it's because, in the words of Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, WWE quite simply has forgotten about the guy. They have forgotten about Aleister Black. So he was speaking on a recent episode of Wrestling Observer Radio. Meltzer said that things don't look good for the hard-hitting former NXT champion at the moment, noting the lack of internal follow-up on his recent request to go back to NXT, which by the sounds of things, he wanted to go back to NXT and people just ignored him, which is great. Direct quotation here, the people in charge now don't see anything in him. It's tough. He's a talented guy. He's right. It is tough. He's tough as well. And he is a talented guy. So Aleister Black's main roster run, snake bit's not the word, but it's not been very good, has it? Let's be honest. He's had a few good matches here and there, one with Cesaro in particular that I have fond memories of. But, you know, we had the kind of weird introduction where they just coldly called up all those NXT guys at once, Gargano, Ciampa, Ricochet as well, and threw them on the main roster and went, hey, care about these people without giving them anything else. Of course, he had the famous sitting in the darkened closet, pick a fighter era. He had his entrance music changed from that awesome incendiary track to and now WWE has seemingly forgotten about him. This comes 2 weeks, of course, less than 2 weeks in fact, after his wife, Zelina Vega, left WWE after failing to comply. I'm really sorry about that impression of the entrance theme. I actually really like metal and hardcore music. But Zelina Vega left WWE, his wife, didn't comply to the third-party ban. Stuff going on across the board there. We are Team Zelina, of course, here at WhatCulture. Doesn't look good for Aleister Black. How do you forget about Aleister Black? Well, he's like, you know, the guy is so unique and interesting and talented and exciting. I'm not saying that he should be pushed to the almighty level of 15-time world champion in a year or whatever, but you could do a lot with that guy, and it's really strange that you would just leave him on the shelf.
Yeah, first of all, I think we should show a bit of balance here, Andy. I don't know where you've got the suggestion that just because his wife has left the WWE, there's going to be some sort of punishment booking for Aleister Black. I don't know where you got that from. But yeah, it's astonishing that they haven't done more with a former NXT champion, like you say, with such a unique look, a unique style, and such a memorable finisher. Like, you take all the other stuff away, you take the creepy entrance away, get rid of the entrance music and what have you. At his bare bones, he is a spectacular wrestler with a great finisher, and almost like, even if you just boiled it down all the way to that, they should be able to do stuff with him. Like, it seems so easy to book when he comes up to the main roster. You have some generic heel go up to him and do the whole, you weird little freak, who then gets his head kicked off, and then you slowly elevate him into the title picture, maybe through some spooky Money in the Bank briefcase if you want to do that, or just, you know, have him slowly get better and beat more and more legitimate opponents on his way to a title. It's really easy. I don't know how they've screwed this up. They almost had to try hard to mess up Aleister Black, and yet here we are, just getting to AEW, in my opinion.
Yeah, get out of there, mate, please. You poor bugger.
It's so straightforward, and like you say, it's just another one of those examples where I think we saw the writing was on the wall once he was getting transitioned from NXT to the main roster, or to Raw, SmackDown, whatever you want to call it. I was like, oh, Vince isn't going to understand this guy, and yep, surprise, surprise, he put him in a cupboard and told him to just moan about no one picking a fight with him, and then when anyone did pick a fight, like Kevin Owens, he lost those fights, so rubbish.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. But anyway, let's move on to Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre! God damn it, Adam, get you together today. Sorry. Anyway, Interesting developments around him and the title picture for the WWE Championship as he head towards TLC. Of course, last night we had those qualifiers, 3 singles matches that are building to a triple threat next week to see who his next opponent will be. The triple threat next week will involve Riddle, Keith Lee and AJ Styles, who beat Sheamus, Bobby Lashley and Randy Orton respectively. But according to Meltzer, none of those people are going to face McIntyre at TLC because... what's the bloody point of long-term planning and stuff like that? Apparently that's going to be a title match that you would assume would take place on TV, and TLC will see McIntyre face Braun Strowman. I've got parts on the brain, I do apologise. Braun Strowman, he's going to face Braun Strowman at TLC according to Dave Meltzer. This is dumb, Andy.
Yeah, this is as dumb as Braun thinking that last but not least was an insult and then beating up an authority figure as a result of that. This is so weird, isn't it? Like, you know, you set up this #1 contenders match and then you potentially have someone else who's not even in the tournament coming through at the pay-per-view and taking the title shot. Putting my fantasy booking hat on for a second, I wonder if next week maybe Braun will be so upset and he'll do smashy stuff. So Adam Pearce maybe puts him into the triple threat to make it a 4-way and then he wins that. Or maybe he'll ruin a TV title match between Drew and whoever wins the triple threat and get the next shot. There are booking possibilities here. Either way, I don't think there's a hope in hell of Braun Strowman beating Drew for the WWE World title. But I don't know, maybe it'll be fun. Who knows?
But the thing is, like, McIntyre versus Strowman at TLC in a presumably TLC match is just really exciting. Like, you can tell it's just going to be absolute carnage. But the way they're getting to it is completely backwards, like you say, whether it be him getting inserted into the triple threat without having to qualify like the other 3 did, all having to beat legitimate contenders on their way, or ruining a title match, which would just piss off even more fans. I mean, how many bloody count-out DQ nonsense finishes or matches that were just suddenly booked out of thin air happen on last night's show? It's nonsense.
Yeah, it's complete and utter turd. And you know what else is complete and utter turd? Survivor Series, I guess. It wasn't that bad. It was all right. We got an update on Seth Rollins' WWE status after the pay-per-view. So he had a rather interesting elimination at Survivor Series, of course. He dropped to both knees in front of Sheamus. He said, "Do your part." Sheamus kicked his head off and just pinned him. That was it. He kind of sacrificed himself, as Michael Cole said on commentary. The reason for this was intended as a write-out. As reported before the pay-per-view, Rollins is going to take some time off television because his fiancée, Becky Lynch, is about to give birth next month. So he's doing his daddy duties, taking some time off, caring for, you know, his family. His family's about to grow by one, so it's important that he spend some time away. This comes to us via Dave Meltzer, confirming that the incoming child was the reason for the write-off here. Seth, I almost called him Drew there, got McIntyre on the brain. Rollins is expected back sometime around Royal Rumble 2021 and the road to WrestleMania 37. So he's only going to take a couple of months off here. Good for him, take the time away. You know, recently on TV, he's put Rey Mysterio over. He's, who else did he put over? Murphy. So he's kind of done the classic thing of getting beat, putting other people over on the way out of the territory. He'll be back. Congratulations to him and Becky when the time comes. Here's to a happy, healthy birth, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I like you describing it as a baby incoming. I've never heard that before. But yeah, I think this is the right thing to do, not just because I think it's the right thing to do as a parent, to just have some time off. By the way, everyone stop booking Becky Lynch return at the Rumble. She'll have just given birth, for goodness sake. But I personally need a break from the Rollins character.
Yes.
And I think, having him go away and come back refreshed around sort of Royal Rumble road to WrestleMania period is the right thing to do. And yeah, like you said, he's put all the people over on his way out. It's a weird elimination at Survivor Series, but it was a route for Team Raw getting a victory, which I was very happy about on the night, of course. And speaking of Raw, last night's Raw saw the debut of a new character in the Firefly Funhouse, and then the subsequent death of that character. Friendship Frog. We knew him so briefly. He's 40 years old. He's dead now. got brought in to try and teach the Fiend, or Bray Wyatt, or more specifically, I should say, Alexa Bliss, all about friendship. He says, "I'm the friendship frog, of course, and I believe that true friendship lasts forever." His final words were, "indubitably," before he got bludgeoned to death, and they had a lovely, quite hilarious obituary involving like a frog spawn and tadpole and all that bollocks. And then, Bray Wyatt said he croaked, and I actually laughed, so I've got a really bad sense of humour.
Yeah, I found this, like this is really silly and weird and all over the place, but I laughed. And I had a good time, and the little obituary video was like genuinely piss funny with the little quotes and the image of him as a newt and a tadpole and stuff. Hey man, it was a good laugh.
Yeah, great stuff. And I also enjoyed Abby Witch going, "Who the is this guy?" Censored myself there, Ben Roy. See, saved you a job. Right, okay, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE. Of course, you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Game Crazy Scorpio, who says,
nice.
2 things I think WWE can do with Survivor Series and the draft process. Do it the weekend after the show and have implications for draft picks determined through the matches. Make the wins and losses matter. There for this. Thoughts? So what do you reckon? Yeah, put the draft after Survivor Series and make... I mean, you need some sort of stakes, don't you? They didn't even bother bloody counting on Sunday.
Yeah, they couldn't even be arsed with brand supremacy this year. I think this really is like a must-do, because it's absurd that you have the draft like a couple of weeks before Survivor Series, and then it's like, I'm so proud of the show I've been on for 4 weeks, and I can't wait to defend its honor against a guy who wasn't even on his show 5 weeks. It's complete nonsense, the current format. It doesn't make any logical sense. So yes, I would be in favor of this. Save the draft or the shake-up, whatever you want to call it, until after the Survivor Series and so forth. And there's a lot of things you could do to add stakes back to Survivor Series, and this is one of them.
I always loved the one where it was Team Orton versus Team Triple H, and the winning team, each person got to control Raw for a week. I always thought that was a nice little touch. I'm not suggesting you necessarily have to do that, but maybe at least the people who survive in the match get some sort of bonus. They were so close last night. They said, look at the 5 winners, and there's a phone call for you. I'll wrap this up. I'll finish what I was saying. You go and answer that. They were so close last night. You had the 5 people who all pitched a shutout for Team Raw, and I thought, okay, they're going to do some sort of matches to set up, championship matches, and they almost did that. Then Braun got kicked off. Bobby Lashley, he merited a title shot because he was one of the few champions that actually won was the only champion from Raw that won on Survivor Series. And then they just inexplicably hoid Randy Orton in there because Randy Orton, and now we've got the Randy Orton Fiend feud, and no one cares. Okay, second question today comes from Twitter Snap, who says, with the Survivor Series seeming to mean less and less each year, and it not being anywhere near as important as it once was, which B-level pay-per-view would you have elevated? For me, Money in the Bank, says Twitter Snap. What do you reckon?
Yeah, Money in the Bank, I think it almost kind of feels like a B+ pay-per-view these days anyway, right? It's something that a lot of people look forward to more than like the rank and file paybacks or great balls of fire or whatever. I think it's definitely Money in the Bank for me as well. There's not really another choice in there, I don't think. The gimmick pay-per-views, the other gimmick pay-per-views like Hell in a Cell and TLC are kind of played out a little bit. I think this is the right move.
Yeah, I think in terms of my bucket list of things that I'd love to go and see, been to WrestleMania, the next one unquestionably has to be Royal Rumble for me. Then you kind of want to go to a SummerSlam because that's, second biggest show of the year. But after that, I'd put Money in the Bank ahead of Survivor Series, so I suppose that makes up my big 4. Okay, final question today comes from Dustin Sensenig. Apologies, Dustin. Who says, I know you guys in the UK have to get up early to watch wrestling. You're not bloody kidding. But of the televised shows, Raw, Impact, NXT, AEW, and SmackDown, is there one you look forward to seeing more? Andy, why don't you say this?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, for me, like as a fan, and I don't even think I'm going to get flack for this, but I don't really care. As a fan, it's not even close to AEW Dynamite. It rewards my investment, and that's what I want from professional wrestling. The matches finish clean, the storylines progress from A to B logically. There are a few things along the way that I'm not particularly keen on. Some of the goofier aspects of the program, like Le Dinner Debonair, not for me, I'm happy to admit that, but on a general week-to-week basis, it rewards my investment better than any of these other things. Raw is like this synthetic wrestling show about a wrestling show about a wrestling show where nothing really feels organic or real. SmackDown's a little bit better. NXT is just not to my tastes, generally speaking. So it's Dynamite. Impact does some great stuff as well, but I find their empty arena format a little bit sterile sometimes. So at the moment, for me, it's AEW Dynamite.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. I do enjoy watching AEW Dynamite. I like watching NXT as well. Like the combination of those two shows is probably one of the few reasons I can force myself to get up so early on a Thursday to watch both of those shows before we start work. Raw's the worst show of the week, without question.
Yeah.
Impact Wrestling has its moments. I'm getting more and more into it. I enjoy watching Simon's ups and downs, all about that. That's kind of what got me back into it, and all the mad whodunit storylines. If you haven't seen it, go and check all that stuff out. I think I prefer watching just like sort of highlights of Impact Wrestling. I do still really enjoy watching SmackDown, but maybe because I just sort of watch it whenever I want to over the weekend, and it's not really work, I suppose.
Yeah.
I just sort of appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But there have been occasions this year, I have to say, where I have stayed up on a Friday night to watch SmackDown, so that speaks volumes. But yeah, NXT and AEW for me. Right, let's move on to today's and a brilliant report coming out from Voices of Wrestling revealing, this is nothing funny here, it's just something nice I wanted to mention. Dave Meltzer adding the Shad Gaspard Award to the Wrestling Observer Newsletter year-end awards for outside the ring contributions for the betterment of society. We've talked about this on previous occasions about
yes, we have.
Either giving like Shad the Warrior Award or naming something after him. I think this is a lovely touch, Andy.
Yeah, it's a really nice thing to do. You know, again, this is something that's going to get flack, but look, the Warrior Awards, look at who that...
Yeah.
You know, it's a noble endeavor having this award for similar recipients and so forth. But it's named after a vile human being. This is a much nicer touch. It was suggested last week. It was JTG actually suggested maybe Shad should get the award, the Warrior Award, and then there was follow-on conversation about renaming the Warrior Award to the Shad Gaspard Award. If WWE aren't going to do that, then it's nice that somebody else has, because, you know, a tragic situation earlier this year with Shad. Just a horrible, horrible thing. He died a hero trying to save his kid in a really tragic situation. So it's a lovely touch.
Yeah, exactly. Great thing to do. And in my opinion, the first person who should win that Shad Gaspard Award is Titus O'Neil, and that's not even me doing a gimmick. I think he's a lovely bloke. He deserves a lot more appreciation outside of WWE replaying his fall at the Greatest Royal Rumble. So there we go. Let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from for daily wrestling podcasts, including the Raw review later on today. Plus you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE, and watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for hey. It's been a noisy morning here in Adam Cleary's bathroom.
You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for watching. Fart, and we will see you soon.
Boom.